Hello, and thank you so much for joining us on You and the Law right here on OGTV. My name is Miriam Usman. It's another time to talk about the law alongside societal matters. And don't you forget that every time on the program we bring you legal practitioners, and together we weigh in on the law and help you understand what the law expects of you as a citizen. When we return, I bring you our guests on the program as well as our conversation, the topic on the program today. Please stay with us.
Yes, so I want to never even reach out. That's salary plenty, no wonder I no agree on a road job for my hand. Check up, sir.
The training
and cooperation.
If it happen.
Thank you for staying tuned to watching You and the Law right here on OGTV. Over the past couple of days, we have seen the headlines, we have seen people rant, we've seen people share their thoughts and opinions about the conversation on Davido and his baby mama, Sophia, on custody war, custody battle of their child, Imade. Well, of course, the conversation is one-sided because, you know, some people feel it was right, whatever the court did, and some people feel it wasn't right. But when we talk about custody battle, the question about who takes a child is very valid, which brings us to also asking the question, what happens to a child when love ends for both parents or for the people involved? What happens to a child who takes over the responsibility of a child? And you know the questions about custody, it's not always about emotion, especially when it gets to the court. So we're bringing you this topic today on the program, who takes responsibility of a child in the custody war. And don't forget, in custody conversation, there are different forms of custody. There could be joint custody, there could be full custody. But most times, those people who do not enjoy the conversation are those who lose out. It could be the father, it could be the mother. But the center point here is the responsibility of that child. And to take us further on the conversation today, we've been joined by Barrister Isaac Izunya. He'll be expatiating more on what the law says about custody battles in Nigeria. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, our viewers.
I'm sure you have seen the news, the headlines, also the opinions of thousands of Nigerians about this particular topic. At some point, it got really emotional because evidences were flying here and there, and it looked like this man may not be part of this girl's life until she's of age, which is a painful one for her father. But before we go about talking of who is right and who isn't, in this case of Sophia and Davido for Imade, let's talk about custody. What does it really mean in the Nigerian constitution?
All right. A lot of laws regulate custody in Nigeria. You have the Child Right Act, which regulates things that concern the welfare of a child. So if you're granting custody, yes, the court used all those laws in totality in order to arrive at who is entitled to custody. But the paramount thing under the Matrimonial Causes Act in Nigeria is custody is paramount on the interest of the child. The interest of the child comes to play when the both parents are about to get divorced. Now, what is interest of the child is not a one-way traffic. It's diverse in nature.
Okay.
For the court to consider, to arrive at the interest of the child, the court considers a whole lot of things. Not what considers in this case is not necessarily what to be considered in the next case. So the cases differ according to their circumstances and according to how the family had lived their life. You'll be surprised that to some extent the court may not even grant the parent custody of a child if the court discover that the both parents cannot handle the child. I've handled a divorce where they were talking of custody, and the court said, if both of you plead to me here in court that you're incapable of handling this child, I'll give the child to social welfare to be taken care of. It happens abroad. It happens, in fact, abroad it's even worse. That when they see you do anything wrong to a child, they will take the child from you. A lot of Nigerians have lost their children outside. because of one act or the other that they exhibit against the child. The law is interested, the law protects the child more, knowing that the child cannot protect itself. So the only person that protects the child is the law. And the whole thing centers on what is the interest of the child at that particular time. So what is the interest of the child? You look at the welfare of the child, you look at the time the parent will have to spend with the child, you look at the education of the child, you look at the kind of work the parent does. Will you have time to stay with the child? You look at the environment the child is to be brought up. Will you have, is it a good environment that the child should be brought up? So the court considers all this together before it arrives at who is entitled to custody of a child.
I think that now brings us to discussing the types of custody. I'm aware of the joint custody where both parents are allowed to play roles, and then there's the full custody as well. But also this conversation about joint custody still feels like one person has the upper hand over the other.
Yes.
Sometimes people feel it's 70-30, not really 50-50 as per se for the child.
Now, I want to distribute something so that we understand it. There's difference between custody and maintenance. Maintenance is different from custody. You could have custody, I could have bulk of the maintenance.
Wow.
The court awards that. The fact that you are in custody does not mean the overall maintenance will be done by you.
What's the basis for maintenance?
The basis for maintenance is, let's look at how much you earn. Let's look at how much the other person earns. Like I told you, the paramount is the interest of the child. It's not how much you have. The court can give custody even to the lowest income earner in the family that is about to be divorced, and might give responsibility of maintenance to the father.
Away from money, what about time?
Yes, the time now relates to the custody, because you must have that time before the court to give you that custody of that child. But talking of maintenance, it can come from either of the party. I did a divorce where the man had, okay, the law, let them sell all my land, or let them have all my land as a lump sum maintenance, so that for the full education and everything, treatment of the child, let all my land and houses be responsible for it. And the court took it as a lump sum of maintenance. So custody is different from maintenance. Now, in case of maintenance, in case of custody, the joint custody or the access custody, joint custody is like a elder brother of access. I mean, elder brother, I mean, when the court grants custody, the court gives the other party.
There's custody, there's maintenance, and there's access.
Yes. When the court grants custody, the court gives the other person access. I've not seen, really.
What does access mean?
Access means you have access to the child. You have access to visit the child. Hello, how are you? On arrangement with the person that has the custody, depending on the evidence before the court.
Okay.
Now, when we talk of, like, that's what I tell you, joint custody is like a senior brother or a graduate of access. So if we term it joint custody, it could be like, okay, you come, we can have some time to have the child with you and return back and the rest. But the court is a bit careful in that also, so that you don't raise the child with a double psychology.
Okay.
You understand? Because if the mother has succeeded in bringing a child in a particular way of life, and you say, okay, joint custody, the father should also have access to bring the child up in a bit way of life with the little time he or she spends with the child. It might lead to conflict of psychology or conflict of training. So the court is a bit careful also. That's why I said the whole thing centers on the interest of the child. So if the court rarely grants custody without access, court usually, as a matter of general, except on exceptions that is so germane.
Access on both sides.
Access. That's me. If I give you custody, if I give you now marriage and custody, I will have access. Access.
Oh.
Yes, access to the child. That means I come, hello, how are you? Fine. How are you doing? Fine. I'm your daddy. We play around at home, depending on the arrangement with the custody person. Because okay, you want to see the child, let's decide in social restaurant, let's decide in social hotel, let's decide in social place, let's stay in social place, let's bond with the child in social playing ground like OPL, for instance, let's bond with the child. Okay, you go and I go, and like that. So that's access. But if we talk of joints, it's like a little bit that's what I mean to say, a little bit graduate of the access. But the court rarely grant custody without access. Rarely would the court do that, because that's what's the interest of the child. When the court grant custody and grant access, the court knows that the child that is in the custody will want to see the other party.
So there are no cases where one person is totally excluded from the life of a child?
Really? No. 90%. 90% there's access. Maybe 10%, but very rare cases will the court do that. Because if you're talking of interest of the child, is it not in the interest of the child to even see the father once in a while?
In this Davido's case now, is there access given to Davido?
There will be access, definitely. You have access. The access might be controlled by the person that is in custody. But court really gives total denial. Access will be okay. Or let's meet at social restaurant. You sit down there, say, hello, how are you? Fine, I'm good. How is school? Fine. Okay, you're doing well here. I'm doing well here. Okay, give him sweet, give us juice and the rest. And then, okay, I'll see you next week. The child will be happy. It's good for the growth of the psychology of the child. Also, if the law, the essence of the law is like a roadmap of arriving at a particular destination. So if the law is a roadmap of arriving at a particular destination, and the essence of that destination is to help the psychology of the child to fit in the society, is to help the well-being and the growth of the child and the welfare of the child, then denying access to the child will equally affect the psychology of the child of a total denial of a particular parent, and will miss that parent, and such missing the parent may affect the psychology of the child. If it's a little child, you just sit down, what's wrong with you? I'm missing my daddy. It will affect the child also. So that's why the court gives access to whoever that has custody, the other person will have access. It's almost automatic.
I know we don't always talk about child support in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Is that a real thing in this part of the world? In the Western world, child support is compulsory. I don't know if that's what we term as maintenance in Nigeria.
Yes.
How does that look like?
Yeah, it works with looking at, it won't happen. If you want to understand it, just go to family court in Ishabo. You see how it works. One just comes, okay, this one, that one, and they'll tell the man, pay this money, so time, so months, depending on your income, depending on what you're able to present before the court, you'll be paying so and so amount of money, you'll be paying school fees together, or you'll be paying school fees solely, or you'll be paying 50 or so amount of money for the maintenance of the child. Now, sometimes when some parents that didn't even go through divorce at all, when they fail to do that, and the other person reports to the court, that's a default. That's like you're disobeying the order of court. And when you disobey the order of court, the court does not want you to disobey its order. The court must bite you a bit to feel the pain of disobeying the court's order. So if the court tell you pay 15 naira and you're bound by that order of court to pay the 15 naira, your refusal to pay the 15 naira as at when due you're supposed to pay without any cogent excuse, reasonable excuse from you, that you have disobeyed the order of court, and the court will take a bite at your right. And at that point, don't be surprised, you might even be in prison for disobeying the order of court.
That is serious. Well, in a case where a parent has been absent from the life of a child, and the other parent is feeling it and wants to get the attention of the other parent, and went as far as suing the other parent for not being present in the life of that child, what's the highest that parent can sue for? Can that, say for instance, can the mother sue the father for maintenance or custody?
You can sue for maintenance. If you have custody and the other person is not maintaining, you can sue for maintenance. Sometimes in the order of the court that you're supposed to do maintenance, and if you're not doing that maintenance, the other person can sue. Approach the court, so okay, so person is not obeying this order, is not giving us this, his job has increased, he's making so money, he has so house, he has this, it's a court of law, and courts of law are courts of facts. It's not court of a hearsay, it's not court of insinuation or court of evidence. You have to provide evidence and facts that the court can believe. The court does not follow you on a voyage of let's go and find out. You have found out already before you bring it to the court. So once you make all your findings and you bring to the court, and the court listens to you and verify your findings, the court will give you an order.
There are some times where evidences are there, and then there's also the part of emotions.
Yes.
Some people have evidences to back up some conversation.
Yep.
This child likes me, he wants to be with me, but I might not have the money and all that to take care of the child. And then because you see that as an advantage, you use it against me. Isn't that also having an effect on the child?
No, I will not take it out. There are some, because of annoyance of divorce, because of annoyance of infidelity or whatever that it could be, the courts try as much as possible not to allow your own life to have a negative effect on the psychology of the child. Yes, if you go to the court and begin to report that this person is doing this person is doing that, the person will also bring his facts to the court. You bring your fact, I bring my fact. The court look at it from the middle and arrive at what is just for both of us, for the interest of the child, more especially. And the fact that the court gives you custody, let me mark this, the fact that the court gives custody to somebody somehow, and there is mismanagement, and there is the interest of the child at that point. For instance, the court gives you custody when you are working in, when you're a teacher, for instance, you take the child to school, you come back from school, you know, the child is with you and all that. Yes. Then suddenly, you are now employed as
maybe a banker,
as a banker, or maybe you are now employed as somebody working in a big restaurant. When you work from morning to night till 10 a.m., p.m., or when you work day in, day out, the other person might come and say, the interest of the child for this custody is no longer protected. I am therefore urging this court to consider this fact and these circumstances and award me custody.
And so it can be reversed.
You can come back to the court. You can come back to the court. If the interest of the child that is sought to be protected and fact has arisen that gives you reason to approach the court. Remember, what the court is looking at is the interest of the child. That's the paramount thing. So at any point in time before the child gets out from custody age, the paramount thing is that the interest...
What's the custody age?
I think it's 16. No, 18. Like if you have children of 16 or 18, you don't talk of custody at that point. You can talk of maintenance. You can talk of, okay, we pay so and so to the child, do this or do that. But within 18, the person is already an adult. You don't talk of custody at that point. You don't keep adults under the room and say that I'm putting you under custody. So that I can marry and give birth to children.
Are there exceptional cases where people lose custody battles because of the amount of money they have, or because of the kind of lawyers they have to pursue their cases?
Yeah, people lose. I think custody is, that's why I say custody and maintenance, they work together. You know, somebody might be rich and may not have time to take care of the child.
Yeah.
So the court will give the person that has time and the person that, and the fact that you lose does not mean you cannot be awarded custody. For instance,
explain that. Yeah.
For instance, if we go to court as, okay, I want to divorce this person, and
what if you're not even married in the first place?
Yes, you can still approach the court. That's what the family court is for. That's what the family court is in Ishabode. You remember in the first place, what brought you together is that child. Now, both of you must work hard for the interest of the child. Your not being married should not inflict injury on the child. The child is paramount. That's the future of the country. That's what I told you abroad. A man was denied of his children. He died because of his act. I think that there was a time my new child went to the school to say something concerning the working place of the mom, the shop of the mom. And you will not believe it, the school took time and came to the shop and said, you see, you know this, when I want to embarrass you a bit, they say, you see, this is children, you need to upgrade in this, you need to upgrade in that. That's all. She just said it in school casually. But imagine if it were like I beat the child very seriously. And she goes to school and goes, my father beats me in the presence of my mom, and my mom didn't do anything. That means both of us are not fit to take care of the children. The government to take the child, and the government to be taking care of the child.
Does that happen in Nigeria?
Rarely. I used to say to some people, when I see them beat their child mercilessly, I'll say, this child, I'll report it to social welfare and they will take this child away from you. Yes, it may not, it does not really happen, but that does not mean the law did not permit it. What does not happen does not mean the law did not permit it. The fact that, just like bigamy, for instance, I've not found women that sue their husband for bigamy, but the law is there. You can sue your husband for bigamy. But many women don't. So the fact they don't do does not mean they don't have the right to do it.
Okay, we're wrapping up on the program, but you mentioned a part that you need to explain. When you say because you lost a custody battle does not mean that you can't have, that's how you said it before now.
Yeah, if you come back to the court, remember the court is always a court of justice on fact. If the custody does not mean I've given you custody, you have from now till the kingdom come. Whatever that happened to the child, the other man should not say anything about it again. Remember, the court giving you custody is like, take this child, take care of this child, and let's see the growth, the well-being of this child. Now, if you're taking care of the child in your own manner and ways, is now one, inflicting injury on the child. Two, is capable of making that child to lose morals, norms and values of the society. The society and the law will not fold its arms and say, you have custody, there's nothing we can do again. The society will fold its arms. And the society will not fold its arms, the court of law will not fold its arms. To be watching and say, okay, for instance, I give you a child to take care of. You have become a banker and tomorrow we learn that you are now, let me not use the word prostitutes. Maybe you are now a member of a very secret bad society in the country, and we discover that you're even in court for that, or maybe you're reported for that, and you're taking the child to that particular society for initiation and the rest. You now expect the father to say, okay, don't worry, court has given you custody, go ahead, enjoy custody, even when you take the child to some society, or the court will now, or the society, even the law enforcement officers will just keep quiet and watch you. No, they won't do that. When this fact are presented before the court will definitely do something to deny you of such custody if the roadmap you're giving to that child is not arriving at the destination the court and the society and Nigerians will expect a Nigerian child to arrive at such destination. That means you have not prepared a roadmap for that child. The court will have to navigate and give a better way out.
All right, thank you so much for clarifying this conversation about who owns a child in the custody war. From the conversation so far, we've been able to gather that whoever has the best interests of the child at heart, with evidences provided,
yes,
owns the child at that particular time. This is You and the Law, where we discuss societal matters alongside having conversations with legal practitioners. And today we've had Barrister Isaac Izonya talk about custody war, and I trust that you've gathered one or two things. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much, and thank you, our viewers.
All right, that's the program this week. We'll see you next week, God's willing. Until then, be a law-abiding citizen.